The diary itself is unremarkable at first glance, leather-bound, thumb-worn, its pages yellowed by time and damp. The handwriting is neat but strained, the sort produced by someone educated enough to write well but tired enough to do it without flourish. It was discovered in the archives of a provincial European town, misfiled among agricultural records from the mid-19th century. No one knows how long it had sat there, quietly aging, before a graduate researcher opened it, expecting notes on crop yields, and instead found something far more disturbing. The first pages read like any rural journal of the era. Weather observations, mentions of livestock births and losses, notes on church attendance and local gossip. The author, believed to be a schoolmaster or minor civil clerk, writes with restraint, rarely inserting personal emotion. Names appear and disappear without drama. Life moves forward in a steady, predictable rhythm. Then, halfway through the notebook, a new subject enters the text. The boy speaks again. One entry reads, "No name is given, no description beyond that. Just the boy." At first, the author does not treat this as unusual. Children speak strange things. Rural superstition was common, and diarists often recorded odd behavior without commentary. But within a few pages, a pattern begins to form, one that the writer himself seems reluctant to acknowledge. The boy whispered a date today. The diary notes he would not say why. 2 days later, old Marta died this morning. The date whispered by the boy matches the date of Marta's burial. At first, coincidence is the obvious explanation. Rural communities dealt with death constantly. Disease, accidents, childbirth complications, none were rare. Predicting that someone would die soon was not exactly prophetic. But the entries continue, and the coincidences pile up with unnerving precision. Each time, the boy whispers a date. Not a name, not a cause, just a day. And each time, someone dies on that day. What makes the diary especially unsettling is the author's restraint. He does not dramatize the events. He does not speculate wildly. He records, but restraint lends the account a credibility that more emotional writing would lack. When fear does appear, it does so obliquely, in clipped sentences and omissions. The boy refuses to speak aloud now. One entry notes, only whispers. Only to certain people. Those people, it turns out, are the dying or those soon to be buried. The diarist begins listing the dates separately in the margins, as if trying to impose order on what he is witnessing. April 14th, May 2nd, May 19th. Each date is followed days later by a corresponding death, not always from illness. One man falls from a ladder. A child drowns in a shallow stream. A woman succumbs to complications after childbirth. The boy does not distinguish between them. What is especially chilling is that the dates always correspond to burial days, not death itself. In the 19th century, burials often occurred several days after death, depending on weather, distance to clergy, or preparation of the body. The boy never predicts the moment of death, only the moment when the body will be placed in the ground. That detail troubles the diarist deeply. He does not speak of dying, one entry reads. He speaks of being buried. Attempts are made to question the child. The diarist records these efforts with growing frustration. The boy, estimated to be no older than 8, does not explain himself. He does not claim to see visions or hear voices. He only says that the dates come to him, and that speaking them aloud hurts. He covers his ears after whispering. The diary notes, as if the sound lingers, word spreads, as it always does in small communities. Some parents forbid their children from playing with him. Others seek him out, desperate for reassurance or warning. The diarist records one especially grim episode in which a woman begs the boy to tell her whether her sick husband will recover. The boy refuses. He cried. The entry says, "He said dates are not for asking." Still, the whispers continue, the deaths continue, and gradually the scope of the predictions widens. At first, the boy whispers dates close at hand, 2 or 3 days away. Later entries show dates weeks in advance. The diarist begins marking them with dread, waiting to see who will match them. Sometimes the connection is obvious. Other times the village waits uneasily until the date arrives, fearing who it might claim. The boy himself begins to change. He eats little. One entry notes he sleeps poorly. He wakes shouting numbers. The diarist describes the child standing in the churchyard at odd hours, staring at the graves, not touching them, not counting them, simply standing, as if listening. Medical explanations are briefly considered. The village doctor examines the boy and finds nothing physically wrong. No fever, no delirium, no signs of epilepsy or madness, as it was then understood. The doctor advises rest and prayer. The priest is less certain. The diary records a private conversation between the diarist and the local clergyman, though the details are sparse. Only one sentence stands out. The priest said some knowledge does not come from God but passes through the same doors. After that conversation, the diary entries grow shorter. The diarist stops recording daily life. The weather disappears from the pages. So do the crops. Almost every entry now revolves around the boy and the dates. One entry is particularly stark. He whispered my mother's burial day. There is no elaboration, no emotional outpouring. Just the fact, written plainly. Several pages later, the burial occurs on the exact date spoken. From that point on, the diarist's tone shifts. Fear becomes more visible, though still restrained. He He begins questioning the morality of writing the dates down at all. If I record them, one entry asks, do I make them real? He considers destroying the diary. He does not. Instead, he begins tracking something new. The boy silences. At irregular intervals, the boy stops whispering altogether. During these periods, no deaths occur in the village, not even expected ones. The diarist notes this with astonishment, then dread. When he is quiet, one entry reads, we are spared. The implication is clear and horrifying. Eventually, the silences grow longer. Weeks pass without whispers. The village relaxes cautiously at first, then openly. Some believe the curse, if that is what it was, has ended. Others believe the boy has simply exhausted himself. Then, one morning, the diarist records a final whisper. He spoke a date I did not write down. The next entry is the last full paragraph in the diary. It was today. There is no name attached, no explanation of who died, no mention of a funeral, just the date. Below it, written in a different hand, more hurried, less controlled, are the final words. He finally stopped talking. There are no further entries. No indication of what became of the boy. No confirmation of his death. No record of burial. What makes the diary uniquely unsettling is not the suggestion of prophecy, but the framing of it. The boy does not predict death as an event. He predicts burial as a certainty, as if the outcome has already passed into a category beyond change. The diarist never suggests that the dates could be altered, avoided, or resisted. Even the periods of silence feel temporary, like pauses rather than endings. Modern historians who have examined the diary are divided. Some argue that the dates were retroactively interpreted, that the diarist may have shaped the narrative after the fact. Others point out inconsistencies in burial practices that could account for apparent accuracy. Yet no one has been able to explain the final entry. If the boy stopped talking because he died, why is there no burial date recorded for him? And if he stopped talking because the dates stopped coming, what does that say about what he had been hearing all along? The diary ends without answers. No closure, just a silence that feels intentional. As if, at last, the boy took the one date he had never whispered and kept it to himself.